Hi, this is Gail Tucker, and I'm recording my video post to talk about existential versus Gestalt therapy. So, existential therapy, that reminds me when we say it, of when people say that I'm having an existential crisis, if you will. Where am I going in life? What does life mean? What is all of this crisis that's happening around me? What does it all mean? And where is it taking me, if you will? So, existential therapy actually assists people in identifying their own value system. And thus, once this is identified, they can be more responsible and take more, if you will, more responsibility for their own actions in their life. Existential therapy is goal directed, so it focuses more on the future of a person's life and where they're going in life versus Gestalt therapy that we'll talk about here in just a little bit that focus more on the here and now. So in existential therapy, a client learns to experience their own life in meaningful and responsible ways. This type of therapy actually is said to be very close, if not the closest, to Christian beliefs because it talks about free will. And in the Bible, of course, we know that free will is sometimes, if not always, the choice or the line that's drawn that separates us from God, or creates a relationship with God in our lives. So the human experience is not, according to this theory, just up to circumstance. This theory or therapy says that really people are leading the way. They're not victims of their own circumstance. They're able to choose where they want to go in life. But certainly we need to help them connect to their cultural values, their individual values, and help them identify those so that they can lead that meaningful life and identify goals and eventually reach those goals. So the existential therapy um, kind of goes along with many of the psychotherapies and the philosophical outlooks of psychotherapy, and it is somewhat philosophical in itself in that it looks at the meaning of a person's life, if you will, in an existential way that helps guide that person to develop these goals and to hopefully get to where they want based on their values. So this relationship between the client and the therapist during existential therapy is very synergistic. It's collaborative, and not as therapist driven as the Gestalt therapy, as you'll see here in a minute. So Gestalt therapy, according to Tan, our textbook from 2011, uh, was founded by, it says, Frederick Solomon Fritz Perls, but credit is actually also given to his wife, Laura Perls, and Isidore as well. So Gestalt therapy focuses, instead of on the future and on goals out in the future, it focuses on the here and now, focuses on those emotions and those things that make up where we are right now. It includes more of a holistic look at a person's life, not only at their emotions that they're feeling now, but also their social networks, and how their social networks, their partners, their family, their work, influence their current mental health condition. So the therapist in Gestalt therapy is very directive, where in existential, they were very synergistic or collaborative. So the therapist engages closely with the client in a dialogue to create a very authentic and productive working relationship with the therapist, kind of moving this along and guiding where it's going. So the client is actually tasked with becoming more aware of their current experiences. It also involves some techniques that are unique to the Gestalt therapy that are very active, and there's that word experiential. One of those techniques is the empty chair therapy, and I actually was involved with this when I went to counseling, and it is very interesting. The counselor actually told me, "Hey, you keep talking about your husband. You keep, if you will, bringing him in the room, but obviously he's not here. to talk to him and get his side of this. So I'm going to let you talk to him. I'm going to put this chair over here, and I want you to say what you want to say to him, since he's unavailable at this time. Like, he was out of state and completely unavailable. And so the therapist not only let me do that, but observed those things that I was saying, and brought out, later. And we talked about the emotions that I was feeling, but also watched my body language and how closed in I was, kind of how protective I was. And an interesting thing that she asked me to do was she asked me how close I wanted the chairs together. She started pushing it closer and closer. She goes, "Does this feel okay? Does this feel okay?" And at a certain point, I said, "No, that's close enough." So there's certain things that are very telling when you learn these techniques, actually. So Gestalt therapy has some Christian um, parallels to it. Uh, Both the client and the therapist are encouraged to be honest, authentic, and holistic. And I found a scripture, John 8:32, from the King James Bible online, that says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." I have my references here at the bottom, and I'll include that along with my post. And thanks everybody for listening today.